Humanity, I love you. Because you would rather black the boots of success than inquire whose soul dangles from his watch chain. Humanity, I love you. Because when you're hard up, you pawn your intelligence to buy a drink. Humanity, I love you. Because you are perpetually putting the secret of life in your pants and forgetting it's there and sitting down on it.
Ludlow back into Connor in. Connor in, back into Ludlow side. Up in the air.
At 15 years old in white middle-class America, Kentucky, what shapes your life? Your friends, sports, texting, YouTube, boyfriends, girlfriends, movies, dances, homework, fantasy football, homecoming, MySpace, Facebook, your comfort zone. That's me at 15. I wish I could say I knew what was going on outside of my own world, but that wasn't the case. In 2005, everything was about to change for me.
It is very, very well organized here. Not good news at all.
Jefferson Parish will suffer severe impact from Hurricane Katrina. If persons haven't evacuated by now, they need to leave immediately.
Prior to August 29th, life was the same as any other teenager across the country. Jefferson Parish, my home for 15 years, would be hit by the worst hurricane in Louisiana's history.
It is so sad. Jean Reserve, thank you. We wish those rescuers a lot of luck. We mentioned at the top of the hour, Hurricane Katrina has been downgraded to a tropical.
Newscasts, weather reports, flooding. In a matter of days, my entire life had changed forever.
8 months after Katrina hit, I had the chance to volunteer in Buras, Louisiana, on the outskirts of New Orleans. There were no words to describe what I felt when I was gutting out a local nursing home. I had to throw away the possessions of grandmothers and grandfathers. All of their clothing, photos, and memories were lost forever. I felt more like we were gutting out their lives. It was the single most impacting event in my life, clarifying for me my goals of becoming a documentary filmmaker so that I could show people what I couldn't say through words. Most importantly, it made me look outside of myself.
After Katrina, life was the toughest it has ever been. My mom was one of those who lost her job. My dad notified me that we'd be moving to Louisville, Kentucky at the end of my sophomore year of high school. I was devastated. New Orleans was the only place I had known to be home for 15 years of my life, and it was slowly being ripped away from me.
It was crucial that Kelsey and I worked together on a subject so close to both of our hearts.
This is the story of 8 volunteers who were placed out of their comfort zones and into the inner city of New Orleans.
Our stories, along with those of Hurricane Katrina survivors, are meant to make you think about finding your own cause.
With so much of the city virtually destroyed, many wonder if it'll ever be the same.
It was kind of shocking.
Oh, what was that, 6 years ago? 6 years ago? Yeah. So I was, let's see, 14. I mean, it wasn't really a big deal to me when it happened. Knowledge-wise, I mean, really that's another reason I think it's great that I'm going, just because, honestly, I don't really have much knowledge on Hurricane Katrina. I just know that I was told recently that it was the worst natural disaster the United States has ever had in its entire history.
Honestly, I can't remember where I was when I heard about Hurricane Katrina. I just knew that it was happening and it was awful.
I remember feeling like I needed to do something, like somebody needed to do something. I mean, I haven't been down there recently, but I'm sure that there's still areas that are just completely abandoned and worn down and stuff.
It's just kind of a heartbreaking, devastated feeling at first when you don't know what you can do. You feel so far away from it all. I think I know a little bit about it, but I still, could never know as much as somebody that was actually there for the whole thing.
I also wondered why more of the people didn't evacuate the city when they should have. I think it's just interesting to meet people in other states, other cities, different cultures, different walks of life, different economic levels and stuff. It's always interesting and educational.
I felt bad for the people, but because I'm here and they're there, there's a very large disconnect. There's something about that area. It sounds kind of magical and jazzy. So this is definitely a place that I've always wanted to go. And not only do I get to go somewhere I've never been, but I also get to do something that helps other people.
I mean, gosh, 2 weeks ago, Newsweek named it as the #1 dying city in America. So, I mean, what more reason to try and help out an area if there's an international publication telling the entire city that, hey, your city's dying.
I remember when I was in New Orleans, things seemed to be doing okay, but I remember on the way there was just all kinds of just empty, abandoned houses and things were a wreck. And so maybe, the tourist spots were okay. I mean, of course, because that's a lot of people's means for income, so they're gonna try to repair that as soon as possible. But for themselves, living situations, that's a whole different story.
How do you feel about people trying to understand Hurricane Katrina?
I don't think you can unless you live through it. Unless you were like those people who are stuck here and couldn't leave. I don't think there's any words to describe it. I mean, even after evacuating, coming back, like no one's anywhere. It's like a ghost town. It's crazy. It's like what happened to my city? Where'd it go? It was like destroyed in a couple hours. Because I wasn't expecting that when we were evacuating. I was excited to not go to school for a week.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like the amount of devastation that would occur. Because we've had other hurricanes that we evacuated for, but none was occurred.
Yeah.
I miss it a lot.
Here at Operation Nehemiah, we do a number of things. We go into the community and help rebuild literal walls, but way more importantly, the walls of what we like to call of people's lives, and help them physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually if they desire, anywhere within the whole psychic and personal makeup of those people.
Our group, and I think all the volunteers, pretty awesome. We went to this house. It needed to be painted on the outside, like drywall on the inside, old paint scraped off, all kinds of different stuff. And so it was really neat to see all of our groups come together just to tackle this one project, like instead of like dispersing out and doing all kinds of different stuff.
I have no experience painting the outside of a house. I don't know what I'm doing, I guess, but they just give us ladders and paintbrushes and paint, and so we just do the best we can with what skills we have.
I painted and like moved ladders, held ladders. Almost had a ladder crash me a couple times because there's this one huge orange one that weighed a ton that twice I had to move and lift. And the first time when I was doing it, I had no idea how heavy it was, and I was pushing the ladder further and further up. And of course, by the time it was all the way up, it was about, good 2 stories. And at first, I was pushing it up by myself until finally Tommy was like, hey, do you want to help him? To Jesse and Dakota. And Jesse started to help, and it became a little easier.
It's pretty much getting the outside of this house completely painted. Tomorrow, I'm going to be out here with you guys. Wednesday, I'm going into the hospital to have some surgery to open up some arteries to my heart so I can live a little longer and help some more people. So,
Tommy is the construction site supervisor for where we were at, and probably lots of locations. He had been doing this for Probably the whole time that they Operation Nehemiah has been in existence, I think.
Tommy, one of the guys, collapsed on Thursday, which was just 5 days ago, and he's got to have an operation on Wednesday for the arteries leading to his heart, and he was still there today. Like, he didn't have to be. He could have taken all the time that he wanted off, but he's just so devoted to helping people, and that was just like amazing. You know, he actually came and worked today when he has a surgery in 2 days. So just getting a little glimpse of the life of the people that were affected by Katrina and are really just so driven to help other people that were affected by Katrina was amazing.
But basically, I lost everything during Hurricane Katrina. I mean, I lost my house, my car, my wife, my mother passed. I mean, it was a horrible time for me. It drove me to the point of contemplating suicide, and I made an attempt to commit suicide because of all the pressures that I was under. Of course, I became homeless. I became a thief. What am I going to do with my life? I had to go to God and say, God, who am I? What do you want me to do? And a short time after that, I met Fred Frankie, and I got involved with Operation Nehemiah. But the actual need is in the inner city, where people really, really need it the most. And I'm not stopping short of saying only black people. I'm talking about all people that's in the city of New Orleans that really need the help. And we do need help. We've come a long way, but we have so much much further to go. And you guys coming down here volunteering to do things that the city should be doing, that's awesome.
We're working on 2 rebuilds right now that we will completely finish. But if you take portions of all of the houses that we have rebuilt, or portions of those houses that we rebuilt, and add them all together, we'd probably total a little bit more than 100 homes.
A lot of times people don't think that they're really doing any good, that they're just one person and what can I do. But when he started talking about the numbers of houses that they've rebuilt and just the pure numbers of how much work and help they've done for other people, that's what stuck out for me. I mean, because it proves that what you are doing is making a difference.
Even if it's just talking with someone and letting them share their stories to figure out what the experience has meant for them negatively and positively, I think that's really important.
Right before Katrina hit, we were all very scared. I was already afraid of hurricanes because of Hurricane Betsy in 1965. So I was one to run, but this seemed to really be the big one. The only words that myself and my 2 daughters have to describe it was a war zone. It truly looked like a war zone. Just debris, trees, power lines, houses that actually had moved from the lot that they were on, boats, not in the water, just on land. It was crazy. People were trying to steal gas, siphon it out of trucks. Gas was very hard to come by. No one was coming back to work for a very long time. We didn't know how long. We didn't know how long it would be before the schools reopened. So things with your life was just, there was a lot of uncertainty in this whole time. Just everywhere I drove, and then we'd go, you know, my husband would drive me around going to see places, and I was like, oh my God. Couldn't believe it, like when I saw my aunt's house, you know, things like that. Then it really starts hitting home. My sister, meanwhile, is going to tear out her carpet and tear out her walls, and, you know, the whole thing. I didn't think about this, but I got depressed.
Yeah.
And I got depressed. I felt very guilty that I didn't flood. Like, I felt horrible, like, you know, really, why me? Or, why did I not? I felt guilty about everyone else being that bad off.
Do you remember going to school up there and in the school when they said it?
When you filled out the paperwork and they said homeless.
That's weird.
Big yellow letter, red or yellow. They wrote across all the paperwork, homeless. And we were all busted out crying. Oh my God, actually right now we really are. We're homeless people.
Yeah.
It was rough. I mean that, but you know, it all worked out so good.
Yeah. The damage was like really bad, and I remember seeing it the next day on TV, and I just remember not being able to go to school, and it was, to me, that was very upsetting because I was ready to start a better life in school because I wasn't doing too great the year before. I remember going to a church up there, and everybody was really nice, and they gave us tons of food.
They had, I mean, big dinners. Just food showed up, furniture showed up where we needed it, washer and dryer. It was amazing. And just to feel that kind of love and care that other people, strangers, had for us was overwhelming. I had never been put in a predicament like that where I needed to depend on other people.
A lot of times at colleges there are like volunteer opportunities where they just have mass amounts of people. They can go and like do stuff around their area, and it's just something to like put on a resume or check off a box. I don't know, I hope that when people go and do these things, they realize that there's much more than just putting something on a resume, that you are helping out another person in your community, or another person in the collective life of humanity.
There's so many different things culturally happening in New Orleans right now that, I mean, culturally, environmentally, economically, that I feel like there's a lot of different things we can be doing there.
I used to live here, so I'm helping someone who I could have passed in the street one day or whatever, just helping those people that I lived and grew up with for 15 years. It makes me feel a lot better because I would hope if I was in their situation that they would come and help me too. And I'm probably going to encourage other people, especially girls in my sorority, to do things like this, to like step out of their comfort zone and expand their horizons and just see what else is out there that they can help, and not just in their little community.
Really, one of the coolest parts of volunteering is who you meet.
If you sit back and you watch the whole scene and you see all these people, there must have been like, I don't know, 30, 40 people all working to do one thing, and that was pretty cool.
We actually were at chemo office. My wife had cancer, lung cancer, and we were at the chemo office, and as we were leaving, the doctor said, "Where are y'all going if y'all evacuate if the storm comes this way?" As of right now, it's going to Florida. So we were like, we're gonna stay.
She was scared that if she went anywhere else that they wouldn't give her chemo. I'm like, Mom, if you're stranded anywhere, they're gonna give you chemo.
But I will say Sunday afternoon when well, of course the TVs and all were still on, and they said Katrina was 175 miles an hour. I looked at my wife, I said, I don't think cancer's gonna kill you, I think Katrina's gonna kill us. This is when my wife was, like I said, going through chemo and cancer and stuff, and of course she's not here anymore, but her and I stayed, and we actually got Lacey, our daughter, out of town with her grandparents, and they went to North Carolina.
So by the time I got to North Carolina and you're watching CNN and the news and all that, and you're seeing the New Orleans area, you think immediately, my house is just like that. So when I saw how high the water was and all the people that were dead in the attics and stuff, I thought my parents were dead in the attics or trapped on the roof or something, so that freaked me out. By this time it was maybe Thursday that I finally heard from my mom. My uncle actually had a Nextel phone, and so did my mom at the time for her work. So I heard the Nextel chirp and I heard my mom's voice. And I was so excited because my parents were alive. For 2 days I thought they were dead. But you weren't. You're still here.
Yep.
When we got to North Carolina, we were local celebrities because nobody in Graham, North Carolina was from New Orleans. So we got on the news station, they interviewed us about being Katrina refugees is what they referred to us as. There was 12 of us staying in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. So that wasn't working. We were sleeping everywhere on the floor, stuff like that. So we went to Walmart to get a few things, and asked us what we were buying all this crazy stuff for, and we told them we were from New Orleans. We came to evacuate from Katrina. Immediately, people were giving me their lunch money, saying, like, there's this one lady, it was kind of ironic, the lady that asked me why I was buying all this crazy stuff was a Walmart employee, and her name was Katrina. So, of course, she kept apologizing, saying how sorry she was. I was like, it's not your fault. But she gave me the $20 out of her pocket and said I didn't need to spend my own money to use it for there. Walmart actually gave us a house to live in. They said that we could have everything for free that we could fit into our pickup truck. When we got the house, that was pretty lucky, but I only got to stay in it for a night because then I was home the next day. And my cousin's local church actually put up my plane flight money. I went to church with them that Sunday, the next Sunday, and they told my story for me, and they got together and collected $800. We saw a lot of volunteers, saw a lot of FEMA trailers too.
Media portrayed a lot of bad, but there was a lot of good that come out of it, so.
Yeah.
When we were working out there together, we worked as a team, not only in the group that we came there with, but sometimes we were working with people from another group. I had several people that held the ladder for me that I didn't even know.
My name is Kelly Dick. I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I'm here as the Associate Minister and leading a group of teenagers this week in New Orleans working. So volunteering still has that kind of effect for me, like watching teenagers work together and wanting so badly to do something because they want to help and they don't even know who it is they're helping.
You can't really understand it unless you've been down here to see it, and I think that's why I'm here. To know that you are helping someone, not only because they need it, but because it helps you as a person, it helps you grow. And we don't just come down here for the fun of it, you know, we come here to do stuff for people that really need it. So.
The woman whose home that we're working in right now, they had to hold off with the grant, and the grant didn't come through, and so she's sitting in limbo just waiting until this home gets finished. And it's her home, and she's been waiting for 2-3 years to be able to come back home and to realize that in a week, after sweating and looking ridiculous and working really hard, I'll still be able to come back to my bed. Like, I'll still be able to lay on my couch and feel the air conditioner and turn on the TV and play on the computer. And all of these kids, too, will be able to do that same thing. So the impact of realizing that even though my world's going to still continue, that there are worlds that are stopped right now.
And it'll get to show you, like, different sides of life, like what you're not used to. And it'll push your strengths and weaknesses, too.
It's nice to make a difference.
The lower ninth ward got most of the damage. But in the lower ninth ward didn't get the money. Uptown got the money. They ain't did nothing yet for the lower ninth ward. Done nothing for the streets, nothing for the drainage, or nothing. All the money they getting, they putting it uptown. Only thing they doing down here for us is a headache. The water level in this church was 13 feet. That wall is 13 feet. Do you see that seam on the side? That's where that water was at. Up there. And see that picture back there, John baptizing Jesus? That's a piece of sheetrock. And all the rest of the sheetrock fell off the building, but that up there. You know, sheetrock, when you get wet, you just crumble up. But that piece didn't crumble up. And now, that was a God thing there. After Katrina, I came back and started building on Greater New Jerusalem Baptist Church. And Pastor Moe, he came in, he said, Pastor Washington, you need help. I said, sure, I need help. I said, God will provide. He called me. He said, Pastor Washington, I'll be there Monday morning with about 20 volunteers, and I got some money. A lady called me back about 93 years old. Said, we got some for Pastor Washington. Said, we raised this money at a church in Bay St. Louis. Said God must have wanted Pastor Washington to have it. And she gave me $10,000. All the furniture you see in here, but them drums and that over there, the churches donated it, these seats. The following week, 3 pastors from Arizona came. Said, Pastor Washington, we came give you a week's work, and we got some money to put in the pot too. I said, Lord have mercy. And my tears started falling out of my eyes.
Regardless as to what community you go to, you're sort of helping to stir up all these different layers of community, people that are affected by disasters, people that aren't, and from different regions and things. So it really helps to mix together all these different people from different backgrounds.
My name is Zainabu Kamara. I'm from Maryland, originally from Sierra Leone, West Africa, but I reside in Maryland currently. The reason why I'm here, me personally coming from a third world country, so I can, not more so in the disaster aspect of it, but I can relate not having certain things, you know, that are essentials to life in general. So for me, being able to do this, even though it's not much, but at least I feel like I'm a part of something, someone who may have lost so much, to be able to help them to regain strength and gain their home back. So it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling. I wasn't expecting to see as many young people that are here right now. So it shows that the young people are listening.
One thing I feel in England, I'm not used to people being this friendly, and there's definitely like a big communal sense here.
I think it's amazing how important it is for the children to volunteer. I think that's the thing that really struck with me, that they're really wanting to help, and like it's not their first trip. And like as I said, we never have anything back home like this. So I think it's really nice that you see how much they care, and as an adult, you think you should care even more.
Well, also just like I think traveling as well. Like I always just say, like people who travel, like you get kind of like, I don't know, you just get a better sense of the world. You get to know like other people's opinions. You know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, valuable experience that you can't really learn from any other way.
So I'd say to people wanting to come here, like especially if you're out of state, like I just personally think traveling in general is always a good thing. It just lets you learn from a different perspective rather than textbooks or something like that.
So. I think today it's taught me that, you know, this volunteering it's bigger than yourself, you know, because obviously this house has been, you know, a few years in the making, and you know we're working on it today, but we haven't met the people who've been working on it for the last couple of years. We won't be meeting the people working on it tomorrow, or you know within the next year it's going to take to complete the house, but at the same time, you know, we won't meet the people who are going to live here, but we'll have been part of that experience. And you know, it just goes to show that, you know, you do your own little bit, and it might be tiny, but you know, on the grand and like a grand scale, it means a lot to somebody.
As weird as it sounds, like I didn't really think much about volunteering and how much it helps people, but once Katrina hit and you had all these people, even people still today, like y'all come down and see what it's about, rebuild and stuff, because there's still a lot of stuff that isn't rebuilt. You drive past the city further on and there's still stuff, it still looks like Katrina hit it yesterday.
We can't do this on our own. People are devastated. People don't even know where to begin. You know, you feel like everything crumbled, and sometimes we don't know how to pick up the pieces, at least not on our own.
It's important for folks to continue to understand that for us that live here in New Orleans, that it's not over.
But I believe they're coming back.
When people volunteer and help out others, it really helps everyone from all sides of the spectrum to see they have a lot more in common than they think, and it's not just like they were affected by this and we weren't. It's, you sort of start to develop an us mentality, and you're helping out someone who hopefully you'll see as close as like a family member if you spend enough time with them. So,
you know, I've gone to school with some people for 4 years and don't know anything about their lives, but I got to go pretty deep into conversations with the people that were here this week, which I will always appreciate, and hopefully what one person says can make me a more open-minded person, and hopefully in return anything I can say could, you know, possibly do the same for them.
For me at least, getting to know people is a really big deal, and I think the best way to do that is you know, helping them through hardships and really getting to know them.
You are given an opportunity to affect someone's life. It just gives you a sense of perspective outside of yourself.
I think through volunteerism, you learn more about yourself also. I think if you want to learn more about yourself and you want to better yourself, the first and best way to do that is to help others.
Knowing that I used to live here and now I'm giving back to the place I once lived, that I call home, because it is home still, even though I'm not there.
We're all people. I think it brings us closer together. And if something should happen to me, I would like to know that there's that sharing, that someone is going to be there for me as well.
It makes you stop and realize how lucky you are.
We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. You are not machines. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. The soul of man has been given wings, and at last he is beginning to fly. He is flying into the rainbow, into the light of hope, into the future, that glorious future that belongs to you, to me, and to all of us. Look up. Look up.